Skye Squad, we are in this building. Yes, we are back. It's another Monday. Happy Monday to you all. We are discussing the Real Housewives of Atlanta today, season 13, episode 15, y'all. I think we only got about 3 more episodes until we wrap this thing on up and get into that good reunion. But you know what? Before we get into that, I want to know where my people are watching from, okay? Drop that location down in that good chatterization and let me know where you guys are watching from. I want to just shout a couple of people out. I see New Haven, Connecticut up in here. We got Newport News in the building. Florida is in the house. Jackson, Mississippi. We got Illinois. Who else we got up in here? We got Kazoo, Michigan. I see y'all, my Michigan people in the place. Y'all know I went to Michigan State University for grad school. Just a sidebar. We got Solomon's Island, Maryland. We got Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Delaware, Jersey, Paris, France up in the building. Madison, Wisconsin. I see you. We got Temple, Texas, Savannah, Georgia up in the place. Washington, D.C. All my people up in the place, thank you so much for stopping by today. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. Okay, so I am extremely happy about that. As you guys can see from the headline, we're going to be discussing, Kenya Moore and Drew Sidora battling it out over the bodies. Okay, battling it out over the bodies. Now, you heard correctly. Now, this is a body battle, so we're going to get into it in just one second. We also got Drew exposing Latoya from last night's episode. Now, this is going to be an interesting storyline because I feel like last night we just got some clues, some little droplets of information, but we didn't really get the whole thing. And you had to kind of watch the Bravo chat room and the after show to kind of piece it all together. Now, we're not going to get too much into the after show today, nor will we get into Kandi speak on it today, but we will get into what happened on the Bravo chat room, as Porsha did give us an explanation as to why Latoya was being called out by that good Drew Sidora. So we'll get into all of that in just one second. We're also going to be talking about Porsha confronting Marlo and all of my suspicions as it relates to this whole situation. So we got a lot to cover. Okay, so first things first, let's get into the battle out of bodies. Okay, now as you guys know, last night in the episode, we had Drew Sidora basically making the comment that, Kenya Moore paid for that booty, so she might as well bounce it. Now, this was when the ladies first got to New Orleans, okay? Baby, they got to New Orleans, and, Drew had an idea for a fun little game for them to, get into a little battle to see who's going to get the best room. Now, interestingly enough, I had somebody, I saw this in the comments someplace or on some of these Instagram pages. I had seen this comment, and somebody had said, well, this was no different than when Kenya made the girls jump through hoops and hurdles to get their room when they was in the grease. Because y'all remember, Porsha had to jump up in that good pool in order to get her room. Tanya was scrambling trying to get the best room, so that all the ladies had to participate in some type of little activity in order to get their room. So this whole situation ain't nothing new from how they typically do when it's time to disperse these room assignments, okay? Kenya just won't have it that day. Now, I also want to tell you guys that when Drew mentioned about, Kenya's booty, okay, she said, you might as well bounce that booty since you paid for it. Your girl Kenya wasn't here for it. She was not here for it at all. So let me tell you what she had to say, okay? Let's take it on over to that good Twitterization, okay? And let's pull up the feed. We got that good Kenya Moore feed. So while Drew said you paid for that booty, so bounce it, Kenya Moore says she needs to pay for a tummy tuck. The battle of the bodies. Lord have mercy. She did not saying you need to pay for a tummy tuck. Let me tell you something. You do not come for that Kenya Moore, because she is going to strike you down, all the way down to the ground. Now, I saw a lot of people talking about, she was body shaming her, but, one body diss, I guess, could deserve another as far as maybe the way Kenya is thinking. But what do you guys think? Was this a little too much for the situation? I want to know what your thoughts are, okay? But I'm speechless at the moment. I'm is speechless, okay? Because I didn't expect it to go this far left, okay? I mean, they're going back and forth with each other. So I guess you can't really control how far somebody go when they strike back at you. So, whoo, let me tell y'all something. This thing is heating up. And if this is what they giving on social media, I can only imagine what they was doing at the reunion, okay? So we have that going on, and you guys let me know what you think about it. I mean, you know, I'm just kind of curious to know, you know, was this too far or was this just right? You know, I mean, because that was rough. Oh, God, that was rough. So over on Twitter, your girl Drew Sidora, because I don't think she has seen that yet, because she ain't clapped back at that one yet. Anyway, what she did say was, we just bought a $1.5 million house, and she's talking about renting a private jet. This was in response to Kenya Moore saying that, you know, maybe it wasn't, or maybe they had a 2-for-1 special on private jets or whatever. Now, in retaliation to this whole private jet kerfuffle, okay, Kenya Moore also had some more to say about the private jet. I just got to find it if I can pull it up, because she was tweeting last night. She was tweeting up a good storm last night. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second now. Give me 1 second. Because she has something to say about that private jet. So here's what she had to say. It wasn't about the private jet. I can't find that comment just yet, but I'm going to find it in a second. But what she did have to say was this. She says, I've hosted great trips from Greece to Mexico to Miami. I set the bar. Drew has begged to be a housewife for 3 years while I pay for my own private jets, and she lies and says it was her husband when it was actually production. I bow down to no one. I am the prototype. Hashtag queen. Hashtag Real Housewives of Atlanta. Whew, let me tell you something. That girl Kenya ain't nobody to be messing with on that good social media shade. She ain't nobody to be messing with on that social media shade, okay? You know, I just wouldn't even try, okay? That's just me. I wouldn't even try. I would just, you know, I wouldn't even bother going back and forth with her because she got a mean old strike back game, okay? So there's that beef that's playing out on social media in these streets right now. If you want to follow them on Twitter and find out what else is going on, go ahead over there because I'm sure it ain't through yet. So now we got to get into the episode. Okay, so guys, in that chatterization, I want to know what you would rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. Y'all know how we do it when we get into this whole, you know, rating the show and rating the episode. I want to see what you guys would rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, for me, on my part, I'm going to give this episode a 9. I'm going to give it a 9. It wasn't bad. There wasn't anything that I really felt like was missing. It just wasn't what I felt like could have been the best. And I felt like there was some obvious production plays here. We did get a sprinkle of this Drew and Latoya situation that I think is going to blow up and turn into something else. And this is per what we got from Porsha last night on that Good Bravo chat room. But I mean, for me, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't overly wowed by it, but I was not disappointed either. I was actually thoroughly entertained and interested in all of the shenanigans as they began to play out. I'm just reserving my 10 because when I think about a 10 from this season, I think back to the Bolo episodes. And then I got to say to myself, now those were some 10s, okay, because of the comedy alone. But right now, I just don't know. Maybe next week when Big Frida shows up, I'll give it a 10 again. But it wasn't bad. It just wasn't, I felt like an A+, but it was an A. Y'all know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get down to the episode. Okay, so we got Porsha. Before we get to that, we packing up for Nola. Okay, Drew is ready to get back to work. Now, you know, sometimes I be feeling like, when we be watching these shows, I be feeling like, now, are they really going down there for work or whatever? But lo and behold, Drew did actually have some meetings while she was down there, and she did go do some radio promos. So, I mean, it was actually legit. So this, okay, kind of worked out. Either that or production has set it up for her. I don't know. We get to Cynthia shooting a little voting PSA for the gram, I think, and she trips going up the stairs. And that good Cynthia is always good for a good laugherization. That good Cynthia just makes you chuckle. You know what I'm saying? She's just effervescent, got a little light about her, not really getting too much into the drama, just coasting on by, tripping on her own. What you call those dresses? It's not a wrap dress. What you call them things? A caftan or whatever. That's what I think it was. It was a caftan. Somebody let me know if it was a caftan in that good comment section, because I think it was a caftan, okay? Anyway, we get Latoya visiting Kandi, and Kandi is going to be meeting the ladies there, because you know Kandi is booked and busy. Kandi is almost too booked and busy to even be on this show, to be quite honest with you, quiet as it's kept. Now, I did see a little bit of her live over the weekend, because she did go live, you know, and she was in the LA because she had an appearance on the show. And then I think she was flying out to go someplace else. And then she said that her and Todd had started a production company so she could act and be in her own productions. And I was thinking to myself, girl, you don't even need this show no more. You might as well go ahead on and do something else, because you have got so many things to do. I feel like you barely got time for this stuff anymore, okay? But somehow she always finds the time to be on time with the speak on it and everything else. I'm going to tell you, Kandi is a good multitasker, okay? She is my life goal in terms of being a multitasker, because I don't know how she keep it all together, okay? Shout out to Don Juan for managing all of those operations and things like that, because I wouldn't be able to do it, okay? Anyway, now, Latoya hopes that the ladies have planned better than... No, actually, Kandi is the one who hopes that the ladies have planned better than Kenya and Latoya. Now, we find out that the ladies are indeed flying private. Kenya goes into how she's the only one who brought her baby, even though the ladies made a big stink about it last time. Now, Porsha addresses the elephant in the room when she was in her confessional, and she says, it's not that I actually needed to bring my baby. It would have just been nice to know that we could have brought the baby. Now, let's take it all the way back where this whole situation comes from. Really, this whole situation stems from either production or the network not allowing the ladies to be able to bring their babies in the past. So once Kenya Moore brought her baby on this trip, and it seemed to be a regular type of situation, then I'm assuming at that point, it became a thing of, well, why can't we all do it if we want to? But in this situation, Drew did extend the courtesy of saying, hey, everyone who wants to bring their child can bring their child. It just so happens to be that Kenya Moore is the only person who brought her child. Now, Drew offers drinks to Latoya on the plane, which she declines. Now, Porsha immediately goes into thinking that Latoya is preggers, because, you know, that good Latoya has never turned down a drink before, at least with these ladies on this show. And we'll talk about why in just one second. Now, Latoya says that Kenya is friend hopping to Marlo, because Latoya, Marlo and Kenya are giggling and play fighting over the phone. But Latoya says she's going to get her back, and that she's going to be her main piece while Porsha is a side piece. And Portia's like, I'm no one's side piece or whatever. So clearly, Latoya is interested in trying to play both sides of the fence, but it seems like her and Marlo are in a race to do the same thing, but they both have different ways of going about doing it, okay? Now, they get off the bus and they're greeted to a second line and food. Thank the Lord they got some food when they get off the bus, because y'all know Kandi was going to have a fit if they didn't have no food, okay? So they got the food there, they got some mimosas, and then this was the moment. Let me tell y'all something. This was the moment where I realized exactly how blurred out Brooklyn was. I tell you the truth, it was like the baby is clearly right here in the arms, okay? Cradled in the arms. The baby head right here. But you can't see not a thing of the baby, not a stitch. I mean, the face was just so, it was almost distracting how blurred out the baby face was. Why they do the baby like that? Now I understand Mark don't want this baby on the show or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, we didn't see her on social media. I don't understand why it is. We know what this baby looked like. The baby ain't no stranger to us. And the fact of the matter is Kenya has to bring the baby with her. Why are we blurring this thing out? Mark, what is your problem with this show? Why won't you let this baby live? Let this baby live and breathe and get her stardom the way that she's supposed to. She all up in the scene, but we can't see not a stitch of the face. It seems so crazy to me how blurred out the baby was. Okay, so that I was disturbed by that. So forgive me for my for being so passionate about it. It was just odd to me. It was so odd. Okay, the baby is all up in the scene in the middle of it, but you can't see nothing because it's blurred out. Anyway. So Drew is ready to distribute the rooms. Okay, now she gives the best room to Cynthia. I mean, obviously. I mean, according to Drew, it is the best room in all of New Orleans, actually in the state of Louisiana, probably America. So she gets that good room. Now, here's the thing. She wants the girls to do a little booty bounce for their rooms because, booty bouncing and shaking, baby, is part of, the culture, of the dance down to the New Orleans. Okay, so this seemed to be appropriate because, Shamia and Porsha was ready to drop it like it's hot as soon as they got off the bus. Okay, now Kenya says she refuses to degrade herself for this room. Now, again, I go back to when she dispersed the rooms up in the grease, and it was fine for everybody to do all sorts of shenanigans and things. But for her, she wasn't really trying to have it. Now, I'm okay with the fact that she didn't want to do it because I don't know if you guys heard Marlo says straight up in that moment, she says, you might as well just give me my room and I'll upgrade it. Okay. She wasn't even trying to worry about doing any of this. So I didn't understand why Kenya couldn't handle this situation the same way Marlo did, because she gets up in Drew's face with the blurred out baby, nonetheless. Okay. She gets up in her face and she's like, I've asked you for the fourth time. And I was thinking to myself, girl, why are you so angry about this? I mean, I can understand. Listen, you don't want to do it. Fine. Cool. Boom. I got you. You don't feel like shaking it, even though you're going to shake it tomorrow. You don't feel like shaking it today. That's your prerogative. I am with you on that. But at the end of the day, I was like, well, why you got to be so angry about it? So to me, what became clear in this moment is that Kenya Moore just does not respect Drew at all whatsoever. I don't think she respected her from the get-go. I don't think she respects her now. I think she tried to be cordial with her, but I just don't think that she has ever respected her. Because even Kenya Moore, even Cynthia later states to Kenya, you just don't like Drew. Okay, she was basically blunt with her when she was kicking her out her room later. And then what became odd to me is that she was willing to, again, she's willing to booty pop when she want a booty pop, but in one moment, it's degrading herself, and in the next moment, it is fun and games. I didn't really get it. But again, that's her prerogative. She do what she want to do. You don't want a booty pop today, you'll booty pop tomorrow. There you go on that. This also explains to me why now I feel like Drew seems to come for Kenya so hard in her confessionals. I think what's happening in the confessionals is that Drew is experiencing what's her dynamic with Kenya, and it's bothering her. And when she's filming the confessionals during and after the season, she's using that opportunity to get back at Kenya for what she feels like are the slights that Kenya has given her throughout the season. So now it makes a lot more sense why we all see clearly that Drew is definitely gunning for Kenya in her confessionals. Okay. Porsha says that maybe Kenya wouldn't want a booty pop that day, but maybe Chocolate would. Okay, because Chocolate was Kenya Moore's alter ego when she was down to the Charleston and she was making it clap and making it rain, up in Cynthia's face. Okay, you know what I'm saying, for the bachelorette party. So the ladies get ready for a little bike ride. Oh, well, before we get to that, Kenya Moore decides to upgrade her room when she get inside, because that's to me what I would have done in the first place. If I didn't like my room, I would have just upgraded it. And we find out later that she ended up getting the worst room. Okay, now in this sense, turnabout is fair play a little bit, because Kenya gave Marlo the worst room when they got to Charleston, which was because basically, Kenya didn't like Marlo at the time. So she gave her the worst room. Now, in this situation, since it's a hotel, it's easy to change rooms, which is what I would have done. I would have just been like, listen, give me a better room. Give me the actually give me the room above the Mayflower room. Let me show all of y'all. Give me the room above the I don't even want a room. Give me the rooftop. Okay. I want the whole rooftop. Give me the whole rooftop. I want all of it. Okay. I'm gonna get the best room up in this hotel. Actually, you know what? Bump that. Put me in a whole nother hotel, y'all. I'm gonna go stay over at the W over across the street. Give me a palace over there in there. That's how I'm gonna show them. Okay. Anyway, the ladies are going on a bike ride. And we find out that they're going to go bike ride and then they're going to get some food, okay? At this point, they're waiting for Kenya to come down. They're waiting for Latoya to come down. And they're waiting for Marlo to come down. Now, okay, here's the thing. When Drew called Kenya, Kenya ain't answer. When Cynthia called Kenya, Kenya answered. Kenya is not here for Drew on this trip, in this moment, in this lifetime, okay? Cynthia says, Kenya, you didn't like your room? Kenya says, no, girl, I upgraded it. Now, she's upset, again, that Drew gave her the worst room, knowing that she had Brooklyn. And I thought to myself, well, Kenya, no, I think you got that room because you were so nasty to her outside. I mean, I think maybe if she had done it differently, I'm a fan of you can get more bees with honey, okay? Which means that you can get more out of life by being nice and good to people. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get things from people when you are, kind of, nasty to them. And I did feel like outside, she was a little nasty to Drew when it came to, those room key disbursements. Okay. So anyway, they go bike riding and Drew comments that when Kenya is having a good time, the energy is different. And I got to tell you, it is. When Kenya is in a good mood, she cracks me up. She's funny. She's vivacious. She lights up the room. But she's also one of those types of people where if she in a bad mood, everybody in the room gonna feel it. Everybody gonna know it. We gonna all understand. She got a cloud over her today. She's not in a good mood, and we are all gonna be impacted by it. So I like it when Kenya is she's in her element and she's bike riding and she's having a good time. She's jovial and it comes across as a much lighter group. Just in terms of the friendships and the dynamics, it's so good to see. Anyway, they get to the restaurant, okay? And all I can think about is I want some alligator. Now, in the chatterization, somebody comment if you done had some fried alligator before and let me know what it tastes like because I couldn't get a sense of whether or not it was actually good from the ladies' faces or whatever. But, when I'm watching the show, 9 times out of 10, I am hungry. So I wanted some of that alligator and I'm going to find me a way to get some, okay? Let me just say that. Anyway, they're sitting there at the restaurant. Latoya gets up to go to the restroom. Now, when she comes back, Kenya says, well, girl, what's wrong? And Latoya says, I'm frustrated. So then they call Marlo and she says that her back is hurting her. Marlo, I understand because my back been hurting me recently too. But you know what? I've still been trying to push through at this gym, girl. Sometimes you just got to sit down on the floor and do some stretching, okay? Take you about 4 Tylenol or some ibuprofen and get on out the door so you can get up in the scene so you can get more of this paycheck, okay? So that's what I would have done had I been Marlo. Now, anyway, whenever Kenya mentions Marlo being her new bestie, the camera always points to Porsha. Have y'all noticed that? So the camera, and I feel like production wants us to see a reaction from Porsha anytime Marlo and Kenya are interacting in any way, shape, or form. Because I feel like they are trying to establish that Porsha has an issue with Marlo and Kenya being friends. But we learn from Porsha that it is much more than that. It is much more than just the two of them being friends that makes her angry, okay? And we're going to get into that in just one second. But back at the dinner, it's quiet. It's quiet as it was at Fallon's house, okay? And so Latoya says, oh, not another Fallon party, okay? So Cynthia at that point chastises her about her behavior at that good Fallon's house. Now, this is the first time this season I feel like we have seen that good Cynthia Bailey come up out of her shell and get buck with anybody, okay? She had to let her know, sitting right beside her, girl, you don't go up in somebody's house acting a fool like that. It wasn't cool and it wasn't cute. And Latoya's kind of like, well, I don't care. If it's boring, it was boring until I got there. And quiet as it's kept, it was. I mean, let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. even much of the season was boring until, actually, I'm going to change that. I guess it was boring until Bolo, okay? Let's call a thing a thing. The season was boring up until Bolo, okay? But Latoya's does add a certain amount of drama and chaos to the mix that we actually need in this show for the show to continue to move forward in a way that seems exciting in any way, shape, or form, okay? She has been providing the drama for us. So, I mean, we got to call a thing, and that's just it, okay? Whether you like Latoya or not, she has been bringing the drama for the show, okay? So there's that. We had a super chat. Did I just click off of it? Thank you so much for the super chat, Santine. Good morning, Richie and squad. Okay, so anyway, Drew asks, well, why are you not drinking, Latoya? Latoya says, I don't feel like it. Drew is like, why? And in this moment, I'm thinking to myself, Drew, are you trying to make her drink? What is your angle here? I don't understand it because in my mind, I feel like Latoya seems like she's making a concerted effort not to drink. And so typically when I have seen this happen on shows before, it seems like the ladies are usually, and I don't know if you guys watched Real Housewives of Orange County a couple of seasons ago, they were trying to get Kelly Dodd to drink. And I felt like they wanted her to drink because they knew that she would act out more if she was drinking, which would give them the drama that they needed to make the season good. In this moment, I felt like Drew was doing the same thing, but clearly I'm wrong. There's more to this story. Clearly, Drew is, well, before I get to that, Latoya starts beating the table and singing, I don't feel like it, B. Okay? So she's just, beating the table. I don't feel like it, B. I don't feel like it, B. So in my mind, what I wanted to ask you guys this is the moment where Drew exposes Latoya. Was Drew in the right for doing this, or was she in the wrong for doing this? Somebody let me know. Ooh, somebody caught what I was saying about Real Housewives of Orange County. It was Shannon in Ireland, was it? I think. Tina says, I'm so ready for this foolishness to be over with. Thank you for the super chat, boo. Out of line. She did it the wrong way. Wrong. She was wrong. No, Drew was wrong. Wrong. That was nasty. No, Drew was wrong. Yeah, I kind of felt like, this ain't really cool, man. I ain't really like that. Beautifully animated says Latoya would have made the trip after her actions at Fallon. She's such a little, I don't like childish antics. Thank you for the super chat, boo. Appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying that she was wrong. At this moment, I wrote in my notes, Drew out Latoya. Was she right or wrong? Now, at this point, we get this explanation from Drew. Drew admits that the driver had come to pick her up, and I guess she took Latoya home. Now, Danny, I'm assuming he was the driver. I don't understand why Danny is a part of this whole situation right now, who he is or where he came from. This is no offense to Danny, but really production, my question is for you. Production, if you are going to lead, if you know that you're going to lead us in a certain direction, I need you to give us previous context. It would have been nice at any point in time before this, had we seen Drew and Latoya interacting together, with the two of them leaving someplace with Latoya intoxicated, for us to be able to really understand the situation and for us to have gotten an introduction to Danny much sooner, because we don't even know who this guy is. But apparently he is Drew's assistant. Now, in some way, shape, or form, apparently, according to Porsha on Bravo's chat room, and this is why I say we needed more context for this, because I had to go all around the world and I had to find out this information by watching Bravo chat room. Thank you for the super chat, Zelene Turner. We appreciate you. So then I found out that according to Porsha, Latoya had been making little comments to the ladies about her her separation from her husband. And in her statements to the ladies that she had been making on the side, she had been saying that she had been drinking too much as a result of the breakup and that she wanted to slow down on her drinking. Now, see, this is again where I felt like production has cheated us out of some moments that really they are hoping will add up to make something special, i.e. the storyline and the direction that it's going. Because up until now, we haven't gotten any information about Latoya and her husband or her separation outside of the episode where she got into it with Drew about the separation. And that was in episode like 2, 3, or 4. So to me, without that context, and I understand you want to keep her as a friend. She can't show her family life. She can't show the ex-husband or the separated husband or whatever he might be. But at the end of the day, if you're going to make this into a storyline, we needed some context. We didn't have any context. So Drew out of the blue saying, well, girl, why you're not drinking, is really just an odd situation for us. But now what we know is that Latoya had been trying to slow down on her drinking. And so now she's not drinking. What Drew was trying to get her to say was, I'm not drinking as much because I'm trying to slow down on my drinking because your assistant took me to church and I had a come to Jesus moment at the good church house. Now, let me take y'all on a trip for a second because I want to show y'all something. I'm going to bring this whole thing back around because at the end of the day, we have all been in these situations. This is why I felt like what Drew did was wrong. And maybe we'll get to see more of it as time goes on. But in this moment, this is all we got. And production, I blame you. So here I am. So what I want to say is this. How many times have you been out drinking on a Saturday night or a Friday night or maybe a Sunday during brunch and you drank so much that your head was spinning the next day, your head was pounding, your throat was sore, your stomach was aching, you felt queasy, you couldn't get out of bed till 4 p.m. At this time, your only answer is to pray to God. God, listen, if you take this headache away from me, I promise you I won't drink no more. I won't drink until till next Sunday. I won't drink anything else. I won't have no more dark liquor. I won't have no more shots of tequila. I won't drink no more champagne until I'm full. I won't do any of that. But and then when you get better, you next thing you know, 2 days later, you're back down to the bar or even that same night. So we have all been in this situation where we have drank a little bit too much. We have gotten a little too intoxicated. But I felt like it was wrong of Drew to use that moment of Latoya's as a way to try to bring something up, especially if you're not going to give us the full story about what actually happened. That just bothered me right there. And I had to take it all the way around the world with y'all. You know what I'm saying? To make some people really understand why I felt like that was wrong. We have all been there. We have all been there. So it just didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, Kenya actually has to call out Drew for outing Latoya, and then Latoya announces that she's leaving because she's going to go to AA. Okay, she's joking at this moment, but Kenya decides to leave with her. Now, I like this moment with Kenya leaving with her because while I feel like Latoya does oftentimes put herself in a position to be on the outs with the ladies, I felt like in this moment, it was good of her to leave and to set a boundary for herself because it obviously wasn't something that she wanted to talk about at the time. And I do feel like Drew was wrong for the way she handled that situation. I did like that Kenya left with her, even though Kenya is not on the best terms with Latoya. I do like the fact that she didn't let her go home alone. I really like that. The ladies get back to the hotel. Kenya goes to Cynthia's room. Kenya calls Drew a bully. And Cynthia's like, oh my God, girl. Cynthia doesn't understand also why Drew is like a dog with a bone when it comes to Latoya's drinking. But then she ushers Kenya out and she says that Kenya just doesn't like Drew because, you know, Kenya is still kind of snipping about Drew in general. Now we get Porsha and Drew in Drew's room. They're drinking some shots of tequila. Now, Drew didn't know that Danny, again, the Danny that we don't know, okay, the Danny who we have not yet seen, at least I don't remember seeing him. We have all of a sudden been introduced to Danny who is not in the scene. He's just only heard of in the scene. We didn't see a flashback. We saw a photo of him. And this is not Danny's fault. I'm not blaming Danny at all. I'm just saying that it would have been nice to get more of an introduction to this as we went along. Anyway, I can go back down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to do so. Anyway, Marlo comes up and Porsha feels like things changed the night that Kenya dropped the bolo bombs and Marlo hopped on the bandwagon. Porsha breaks down in tears because she really felt like Marlo was her friend. She feels like Marlo's trying to bond with Kenya and they're using the bolo drama to do it, okay? Now, Drew actually is down there on a work trip, okay? She is really about to go down to the iHeart, and she's gonna go and do some radio promo as well. Now we get another shot of blurred out Brooklyn coloring with her blue crayon all over the walls. Okay. And Drew asked Cynthia to come with her to iHeart, and I think she did. Latoya arrives at her room. Kandi arrives. Kandi has just gotten down to the New Orleans. Hey, Kandi. And all the ladies convene on Drew's balcony. Now, apparently, it's another hurricane coming. Now, let me tell you something. This is just the season for hurricanes. It was a hurricane coming when Cynthia had her wedding. It's a hurricane coming now that the ladies are in New Orleans. Let me ask y'all a question. Did nobody look at the weather reports in the days coming up to these trips and events and stuff like that to know that something was going to have to be changed about these trips and such? I mean, we all know when there's a tornado, or not really a tornado because that can come out of the blue, but we all know when there's a hurricane coming because you can see it about 2 weeks out. Okay, so you already know something is going on. We might want to change locations, but nevertheless, it's coming. Okay. So Drew had planned on taking the ladies to Zydeco, and she's sending them while she and Cynthia go to iHeart. Now, Kenya, in this moment, to me, Kenya is, again, refreshing because she's funny as she's on her computer acting like she's taking notes. And I like this Kenya. I love this Kenya, okay? Now, on the bus, Kenya and Marlo play fight over the phone, and the camera always pans to Porsha again so that we can get a shot of Porsha's reaction as the two of them are playing, okay? They get to Zydeco, and we get this reminder that Kandi cannot dance. She don't want to participate. She's sitting there looking with this stank face because she knows she can't get up on the floor and pop that booty and drop it like it's hot. And Kandi, I'm okay with you can't dance. I'm okay with it because, listen, you balling. Okay? Some people make it clap. Some people make it rain. Okay? Kandi, I'm not mad at you. Make it rain, girl. Thank you so much for the super chat. I am Diva. Nicole says, I watched Adam's YouTube episode with Todd. Apparently, they were reconciling until he saw the episode where she was going to do her for a year, then get back with him. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Okay, so now Drew goes to the radio station. The ladies do the Zydeco dance. Okay, they booty popping all over the place. And Porsha pulls Marlo back into the room as the ladies are about to leave. Now, she feels like Marlo's moving differently. Now, Porsha brings up the showroom. And why didn't she get an invite to the showroom? Marlo says, well, Kenya called and asked if she could come. Then Marlo brings up when Porsha was having friend dates with Kenya and how she didn't have a problem with it. So then they seem like they're going to come to some conclusion. And Porsha, they get into this whole back and forth about the whole thing. Now, this was interesting to me. And this gave, in this moment, I had an aha moment when it comes to Marlo. And I thought I had been right about this before, but if I didn't know it before, I know it now. They're getting into this whole notion of, what the actual issue is. Porsha tells her, I don't care if you're friends with Kenya or not. It's just that the way that you're moving with me feels funny. I.e., when they almost look like they're getting on good terms, Marlo says, okay, well, I think we're cool or whatever. And then she says, but is everything Kenya said, was it false? At this moment, you get a confessional, and they made sure to show us this. The producer says, can you really believe she asked that? And I felt like production at that moment, because I had to ask myself, why did they show us that? Why did they show us the producer asking Porsha that? I believe they showed us that moment to distinguish that there's a difference between these two issues. Marlo is saying, because if you look at her, Marlo is tweeting up a storm talking about she don't understand why Porsha doesn't like her being friends with Kenya. That ain't the point. I believe production showed us this in an effort to show us that Porsha's actual issue with Marlo is the fact that Marlo is questioning what or if anything happened in that room with Bolo and Porsha and Tanya. I believe that is what the producers were trying to show us in that moment when they asked, Can you really believe she asked that? Because they wanted us to know that's Porsha's actual issue, okay? So Porsha says blatantly in that moment, it isn't true. Now, I don't know if I believe that, Porsha. Now, I ain't saying, I don't, listen, I believe what you do is your business, girl, but I definitely think that, you know, a little something might have happened up in that room. But again, it's your business whether you want to tell us or not. You know what I'm saying? Because you grown and you an adult, okay? You can do whatever you want to do in the privacy of your own room. But I ain't believe it. Okay, that's all I got to say. Oh, side note, did y'all believe it? When she said that she did not have relations with that man, okay, that nothing happened, did you believe it? Give me a yes, or can you give me a no? Give me a yes or give me a no in that chatterization, okay? I ain't believe it, okay? I ain't believe it. But I'm still rocking with Porsha. I'm still rocking with what she's saying. I feel like what she's saying is true. Marlo being her friend. Let me tell you something. If it was let's say one of my homies, one of my friends, if I thought that they were in that room, or if I knew that they were in that room, I definitely would have their back. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. My friend would sleep. And if my friends say they didn't do it, they didn't do it. I'm not going to ask no questions. And I'm definitely not going to ask no questions on this camera, okay, to try to implicate my friend in anything. That's a real G. That's a real friend. What Shamia's doing out there in that bus, that's some real friendship type stuff out there, okay? So meanwhile, while they are on the bus, Kenya is chastising Shamia for having her back the way she's doing, because Kenya reasons that Porsha has not been the best friend to Shamia. But Shamia is also able to balance the friendship between Kenya and Porsha, even though she is much more of Porsha's friend than she ever was to Kenya, right? So then we get Latoya popping back up on the bus, and she basically calls that good Shamia a lapdog. And Shamia's hair pops up from behind that seat, and it's like, girl, go back to sleep. Nobody was talking to you. And in this moment, I was so here for Shamia popping up from behind that chair like that. I was like, yes, girl, you tell her. You tell that girl. Although she didn't have the same energy with Kenya, though. Just want to point that out. You know, on Bravo's chat room, Porsha says that she didn't believe anything that Marlo was saying, and she just immediately clicked out of the conversation and decided to give the girl a hug and get back on the bus. But what you notice, when they get back on the bus, when they left the scene, they hugged it out. But when they got back on the bus, you could tell Marlo had an attitude. Marlo was not here for that conversation at all, and she needed a couple of drinks. So they try to explain to the ladies what was going on without really explaining, and Kenya is all up in the biz naive. She want to know, well, what happened? What'd you talk about? Who said what to whom? Because y'all sure do seem upset, okay? So, you know, I left my last note on this actual episode was that Porsha and Marlo are clearly not in the best place. And so the evidence came through when Porsha did admit on that Good Bravo chat room that she indeed did not believe anything that Marlo was saying. Thank you for the super chat. Mariana says, Kenya has done her dirty work. Hint, hint. Phaedra and Mr. Chocolate putting her nose where it doesn't belong and almost got popped across the table. Oh, yeah. I remember when Phaedra had then jumped up and act like she was going to hit her with that pocketbook. Okay. So let me give you guys my final thoughts. Good question. Why is Marlo going so hard to find out? That is a good question. You know, for me, I almost feel like maybe someone said, Marlo, you're not really doing enough on this show this season. We need some drama. Because it seems like she's moving funny, and it seems obviously funny, right? Like, it seems like because she made it a point right after they had gotten cool, or at least partially cool in that conversation, to ask Porsha on camera, well, girl, what really happened in that room? Because Marlo and Porsha had a friendship, or so it seemed. She could have called her on the side and asked her that. but she wanted to try to get Porsha to own up to it, or either see what Porsha was going to say in that moment. And I felt like, I mean, she played a trump card in that moment, but I felt like when she did that, she kind of also showed her hand. And, you know, I don't necessarily blame Kenya for that. I blame Marlo for that. I think that Kenya and Porsha don't like each other. But I think that Marlo, if she really was trying to be a good friend to both of them, she would not have said anything. Because if you notice, Cynthia is, you know, Kenya's girl, but she's not really all into this Bolo situation. Kandi always got Kenya's back for the most part, but even she's not like trying to be sniffing into the situation. Marlo, who just became cool with Kenya again, is suddenly so into trying to find out who it was. I believe so she could just report it back to Kenya and use that to get even further into Kenya's good graces. That's what it seems like. Now, again, this is not Kenya's fault. I don't believe that's Kenya's fault. Again, Kenya and Porsha, they don't rock with each other. That's it. But I do question Marlo, because I'm like, yeah, that was a kind of funny move, because you don't even see Kandi and Cynthia doing that. They got no reason to. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I love me some Marlo, but I'm like, dang, Marlo, you looking kind of shady. And even if you guys watch the preview from the next episode, you see Kandi say specifically, Marlo is putting herself in between Kenya and Porsha. She is doing it to herself. No one is asking her to do this. Porsha flat out told her, I don't care if you're friends with her. Don't move like this with me. But even now, Marlo is tweeting, when you go look on her Twitter, about how Porsha don't want her to be friends with Kenya. I don't think it was necessarily that. I just think it's like, girl, well, what are you doing to me in the process? You could be cool with somebody, but you ain't got to throw me under the bus to do it. I didn't like that. Ooh. This could be a good point. CCF Freak says if Porsha admits it, that would put Bolo in trouble because he was working. That could possibly be true. Mariana asked a very good question. Do you think Marlo is doing all of this because Nene is gone? I don't think that she would be doing it if Nene was there. So, you know, and I saw somebody make a comment that, you know, that Porsha fell out on the floor when Kenya marched through her door with the marching band. Okay, it was funny. It was unbelievable. It was kind of over the top. Like, why wouldn't everybody had a reaction? Kandi reacted. Everybody reacted in that moment. It wasn't like she went to go throw her under the bus in some way, shape, or form. She laughed at a over the top moment that Kenya pulled. Like, if anything, I guess in that moment, I see that moment differently than most people, or maybe even Marlo. I see that moment as a win for Marlo, and I always did. You know, this was Marlo's first event on the show, first major event. When Kenya Moore walked through the door with that marching band, that brought more attention to Marlo's event so that it made it onto camera. Regardless of whether or not you like or dislike what Kenya did, in that moment, she did Marlo a favor. Yes, she brought her marching band there, but it got that event on television. It brought awareness to the event, right? We will always remember Marlo's wig event because Kenya Moore showed up with the marching band. Like, that's press for Marlo's business. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I feel like in that moment, Yeah, it was rude, but it didn't stop her from, I guarantee you, if she was selling the wigs, it didn't stop no wig sales. Because if it was me, I would have been like, girl, toss this Kenya Moore hair care on your natural hair and then throw a wig on so you can keep protecting your hair. Bam. Let's both make these sales. Get these coins. Porsha said when me and Tanya and Bolo was in the room in the episode, sounds like an admission to me. She did say that. I didn't read it as an admission, but it could be. It definitely could be. Thank you for the super chat, my love. Yeah. And listen, hey, listen, y'all. Let's also normalize. You can like Kenya, you can like Porsha, and you can also criticize something that they do at the same time. Some people have the perception that you can't like both people. You can, and don't let anybody make you feel otherwise. It's a show. We can be passionate about these things and have fun with it. It's fun to discuss. All right, guys, listen. So that was the review for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Nita Lynn, thank you for the super chat. Says Kenya forgot that Porsha done dragged her across the floor in that red dress and she was holding on to that wig at the reunion. Leave it alone, Ken. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Guys, listen, I got an interview coming up in 10 minutes that I need to jump on and get ready for real quick. I will be back on around 1:15, 1:30 to review Married to Medicine. Hopefully you guys will make it back here for that as we talk about that. And then we'll go live with All About the Tea at 3 p.m. to do our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap as well. It's going to be quite a day today. Thank you guys so much for joining us and chatting along with us. Y'all know I love each and every one of y'all. We don't always have to agree. We can disagree. We can still have a good time on this channel. And at the end of the day, we love all these ladies for keeping us entertained, especially during these pandemic times. So I will see you guys in the next video.